So I just got done streaming Monster Hunter World. I played it for about 3 or 4 hours, and I just want to give you guys my first impressions, raw first impressions, like as soon as I ended the game and turned off my PS4, because right now my thoughts are fresh. This game is fucking amazing, especially if you've been playing Monster Hunter for like, you know, the last generation or over the last 10 years, then this is like everything we could have ever dreamed of. But if you guys are new to the game, it's still going to be a very fun and enjoyable experience, and I actually think this is a good place to start. After playing this one, it also makes it hard to go back to the older games because the graphics, they just don't compare whatsoever. They've also added a ton of in-game mechanics that makes the experience more enjoyable, but also makes everything much more convenient, like weapon swapping during the mission, which is something you couldn't do before. You had to plan out which equipment you would take out on a mission, and now you can actually switch on the go. So if you take out the wrong weapon type or you have the wrong element, you can change for the situation. If you feel you need to be more melee or more ranged, you can change. And also, one thing I messed around with in this one, and I also mentioned that I would do it in the video, was testing out different weapons. I've never messed with bows before, or bow guns, or any of the ranged weapons really, except for when I played Monster Hunter for the first time and I was like 11 years old, so I really don't remember how it was. But from seeing other people play bows on the other Monster Hunter, I just was never turned on to it. I was like, it's not really my style. But I tried it in this one, and I have to say, holy shit. I think I might actually main bows this time around. That's how fun it was to actually use the bow. I still do like melee weapons, so I'm probably going to main a longsword or a charge blade, but I'll be using a bow as my secondary. A lot of things I'll mention in this video might only make sense to those of you who have played previous Monster Hunters, so forgive me if it doesn't make sense to you. But one thing I've noticed is that there's only one set of armor. So there's different types of armor in the demo, but it's all one set, whereas in the previous Monster Hunter games there was always 2 sets for each monster. So let's say you slay a giant lizard. After getting his scales and materials, you can craft 2 different types of sets. One that benefits you if you use melee weapons, and one that benefits you if you're a ranged user. But this time around there was just one type of set. So I'm assuming that maybe they eliminated that splitting of the sets and now there's just one, which I think makes things less confusing. And also now that you can switch weapons on the go, which is something that a lot of people are going to be doing, going back and forth from melee and ranged during the quest if they want to, having one set would make life much more easier. So I hope they actually did make this change. Although the stat difference could affect it in some ways, so they'll have to balance that out. The environment is super destructive, which was cool. Now, the other games do have destructive environments, but in this one, there was times where you were fighting over the sand and another monster came out to interrupt, which is also cool because I didn't expect to see old school monsters put into this demo like Diablos, and that's the type of monster that I didn't want to mess with. I've actually always hated going up against this monster. But he came out of the sand, not only breaking the area but making everyone fall through the sand. But after he falls through, certain things like this happen to where 2 monsters will fight. You can actually use this to your advantage, so it happened multiple times during the demo, and this is just another great feature of the game. You can take advantage of that and, you know, use that monster to help you kill the other, but you can also use this to put space between you, sharpen your weapon, take potions, even escape if you need to. But it's also cool to just watch the monsters fight, even though it might only be cool the first time around seeing it, because the first time around it really seemed like they were going at it, but other times during the demo, when seeing the monsters fight, it was more like just charging at each other, and it didn't really connect super well. So maybe they weren't actually fighting each other, they were just trying to go after the players, but they were colliding, but it didn't seem like they were actually being programmed to fight each other. When other times, like the first time I came across this, you'd actually see the T-Rex monster put the lizard in his mouth and sling him around like a fish. Speaking of sharpening weapons, one thing I've noticed is that your whetstone now has unlimited use. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, in Monster Hunter your weapons have sharpness. So for example, if your weapon is green, this means you can cut through only certain types of monsters or certain pieces and body parts on a monster. So you'll see that during this demo, I'll be fighting the Barroth. While fighting it, I can't break through to his head. If I hit his head, my weapon will bounce off. Things like this will happen if you don't have enough sharpness. So weapons do go past the green tier. They go blue, they have white, and many other colors that allow you to cut through different body parts of monsters. If you were to go on a higher quest against even stronger monsters, you probably wouldn't be able to cut through any piece of their body with the weapons you have in the demo. So upgrading your weapons and making new weapons out of the monsters you continue to fight as you quest through the game is very important. And when you're fighting with this weapon, they will lose sharpness, and once they lose sharpness, your weapon will start bouncing off of the monster. There used to be a certain amount of whetstones you can take with you on a quest. I can't think of a time I ever ran out of them, so it was always like why do I even have to stock up on whetstones? It's just kind of a dumb feature. In this demo, the whetstone just had unlimited use. There's just one, you can use it as many times as you want. If that's a new change to the game, it was well needed. The map is also huge. You get to choose where you spawn now, which spices things up a bit. And you can also fast travel during the game at any time. So if you want to go back to camp to change your weapon, you can just pull up the map. There's no loading screens within these zones. And I know this is a bit late into the video to explain how it works, but if you guys are wondering how Monster Hunter plays, it's not some open world game where you just, travel the world and hunt monsters. There's usually a main hub, which was not in this demo, and you would choose a quest and gather a party at that main hub. Usually you play single player, or you go online and you go into a lobby of 3 other players, so a total of 4. But in this game, I think there's going to be a big hub with a bunch of players you can see, and then you can take up to 3 other players with you on your quest or group up, but a party of 4. There's probably going to come times where you can take more than 4 players with you, like on certain raids. I know that's been a thing in the past where you fight super big monsters, but I can't confirm that just yet. But you'll get a quest, take players with you, and then you'll enter an instance zone where you then hunt the monster down, or whatever your objective is. Sometimes it's to kill trash mobs or just gather stuff. Before, once you entered the zone in the mission area, when moving around the map, you still had to deal with loading screens. Now you don't have to deal with that. It's just one big open map. And it's so big, it's actually possible to get lost now. And tracking down the monster is much different because you actually have to track their footprints, but everyone can work together to do this, and it never took too long to find the monsters, and it also allowed you to explore the map a bit. I have no complaints with this new system of tracking monsters down. I actually think it's really interesting, more immersive, and just overall sexy. How is that sexy? I don't know if this is a change, but you can mount monsters. This is a feature that has come with the previous Monster Hunter games as of late, but it always seemed that there was some type of cooldown. Like if you got on the monster's back, you can slash it up a bit, and if you succeed at staying on its back and slashing it, the monster will fall down. Well, this time around, not only do you get on the monster's back and deal damage and knock it down, but you also get to go into some type of special for each weapon class, and it just makes downing the monster more badass. But the thing is, my friend Tio, who was using an insect glaive, was able to get on the monster's back every other minute. It seemed like there was no cooldown, whereas in the other games, like on the Switch and the 3DS, it seemed like once you mounted the monster, there was like a few minutes of cooldown before you can do it again. So I don't know if this is just like a coincidence, or did they actually take the cooldown away? It would be nice, but it does seem kind of OP. So far I've tried the charge blade, the longsword, and the bow. I still have a lot of weapons to use, but I wanted to make this video before I get back to grinding hours on this game and just lose the inspiration to make the video because I'm so immersed into it. With only 3 missions, it does get kind of boring and repetitive, but it is a demo. The thing that made it fun was switching weapons, so once I switched to something I've never tried before, something completely different like the bow, it actually made me want to repeat the missions 10 more times. But before I used a ranged weapon, I was kind of getting burnt out. For someone who is experienced with this game, it really wasn't that hard, but I'm sure there will come times where the monsters get extremely hard and 1 or 2 shot you. Another cool feature that I saw during this demo, and I'll explain it a bit first, is when you're walking around any area in the old Monster Hunter games, you can sometimes cross paths with a cat or a group of cats. Most of the time, if you see a cat, they'll try to hit you. And if they succeed, they will steal an item from your inventory. If you hit them back a couple times, you get the item back, but it's really annoying. This time, I took the monster into the corner of an area around a pack of cats, and the cats trapped the monster for me. Like they put him in some type of string trap or net. I don't know, it was like vines or something, which I think is just so cool that they put things like this into the game. The environment is so much more interactive than it has ever been, and it's like surreal to see. Because Monster Hunter has always lacked in a lot of features, but they've added more and more over the years, but the game still felt stiff and the environment wasn't that interactive. And when we did get little bonus features here and there, like mounting and climbing walls and being able to jump off, swinging at monsters in the air, destructive environments, it felt like a huge change, but in reality it wasn't that big of a deal. But in this one, it's like that big of a deal. Of course, this is just personal opinion, so I'm not saying everyone feels this way. I'm sure there are many other new features that I can think of, or just other parts of this game that I can explain in this first impressions, but at the moment this is just what's on my mind right now and what I've experienced, and I think overall this game is going to be amazing, and it comes out next month at the end of the month. And again, it's going to release on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, but it won't be coming to PC until a later date. So if you guys want it on PC, you'll have to wait. If you're impatient, you're going to go get it on a console. I'm definitely going to get it on a console and play upon release, and I don't think I'll be getting it on PC simply because this is a grindy game. You hunt monsters over and over to craft their sets, craft accessories. Sometimes you make different types of weapon from the same monsters, so you'll be hunting monsters hundreds of times. Really not hundreds until RNG kicks in, when you have to find a really rare material for a really high tier set. But it does get that way, and I can't see anyone wanting to repeat this again once the game launched on PC. It's kind of like playing Black Desert on PC and then it launching on console, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna put 2,000 hours into the console version now. It ran extremely smooth, and even during the demo it gave me the option to enhance the game because I have a PlayStation 4 Pro. Character creation wasn't all that in the demo, they just allow you to choose from presets, but in the actual game you will be able to create your character and do a lot of customization. There's already videos out there showing you the customization, so you guys can check that out. But again, this game's going to be amazing. I have no complaints, nothing but pros. The movement, the combat feels much smoother. I know most of you guys that watch my channel are into MMOs, and if you're thinking this will be like that, it's not. If you're familiar with Dauntless, which is a game on PC that I'm sure many of you have tried, or at least seen a first impressions of, it's similar to that. I compare it to Dauntless even though I know Monster Hunter came first, and Dauntless took a lot from Monster Hunter when it comes to inspiration. I compare it to that because I know the community here on this channel is much more familiar with PC games over console. There's no PvP, so don't expect that. It's a PvE game. If you want some type of competition or being competitive, then that will be trying to break records of killing monsters as fast as you can. So that's about it for my first impressions. If you guys have played it, tell me what you think so far in the comment section below. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, friends.